Hello again, everyone. It's Dan Gingiss, the Experience Maker, and I am pleased to be with you during this National Customer Service Week, along with my friends at Pace. All week long, we've been talking about ways to create remarkable experiences that your customers can't wait to talk about with their friends, family, and colleagues. And today is no different, so let's jump right in. We've been talking about the 5 steps to creating remarkable experiences. We've learned how to be witty and memorable in our communication. We've learned how to create immersive experiences and how to include elements to make experiences more shareable. Today, we're going to talk about rethinking the ordinary experiences and elevating them to extraordinary. Remember when I told you that nobody shares a meh experience? We want to take our ordinary experiences, and let's face it, most experiences are ordinary, and turn them into something that people do want to talk about. This is, of course, one of the steps in my 5-point WISER methodology to make you wiser to customer experience and wiser than your competition. WISER stands for witty, immersive, shareable, extraordinary, and responsive. We're going to begin with some background on why extraordinary is so important. At first, I want to share a great stat with you. According to the Harvard Business Review, the number one most important factor in a customer's loyalty is, may I get a drum roll, please? Ding! Reducing customer effort. Make it easy on people. Remove customer barriers. Make it so that they're not frustrated, and they will love you and return the loyalty back to you. Now, this is Joe Maddon. He was the manager of the Chicago Cubs, my beloved team, when they finally broke their 108-year streak and won the World Series in 2016. One of the best moments of my life. Now, Joe is known for what are called Madanisms, which are these little sayings in baseball that he uses that only Joe Maddon says. I actually think that when he retires, he's going to become a business consultant because most of his Madanisms also apply to business. In fact, I wrote a blog about this on my website, and no joke, all these years later, it is still one of the very most popular blogs on my website. Now, my favorite Madanism, and the one that I even bought the shirt for, is do simple better. If you think about this, this is kind of like reducing customer effort. If we can make everything simple for customers, they are going to love doing business with us. Now, do simple better in baseball means always running hard to first base and making sure that that 6-4-3 double play is flawlessly executed, because it then allows you to make a mistake on a harder play and still recover from it. In business, it's about trying to reduce complexity, make everything simple, and you're going to make it better. You see, the bar is very, very low for customer experience. We know that about half of customers say that the brands they engage with don't meet their expectations for a good experience. And I told you previously that 2/3 of customers can't remember the last time any brand exceeded their expectations. But the rewards for customer experience are huge. Watermark Consulting did a study of the publicly traded companies on the Forrester Customer Experience Index. Now, this is the list you want to be on if you want to be publicly recognized for your customer experience. Watermark looked at the top companies in the study and the bottom companies in the study and looked at their stock performance over 11 years. The leaders far exceeded the market and the laggards far trailed the market. But more importantly is the leaders beat the laggards by 3 times. Now, we know that customer experience drives profitability. It helps to bring in revenue with more customers who stay longer, spend more, and refer their friends and colleagues. It also helps to reduce customer service costs. So when we add revenue and reduce cost, we make more profit. And this is often in public companies how a stock price does what it does in this chart. So there is absolutely a connection between customer experience, profitability, and stock price. That brings us to extraordinary. Now, sometimes people get a little nervous when I get to extraordinary because they say, Dan, this is where it's going to get expensive. But hopefully you've recognized through all of these courses that all of the examples that I share have 3 things in common. They're simple, practical, and inexpensive. Because I worked in companies for 20 plus years. I know how hard it is to get things done. I know how hard it is to find the budget, to get legal approval, to get branding approval, to get your bosses okay. So I want to give you ideas of things that you can do that are so simple that you barely have to ask for any permission, because you can just go ahead and do them and make them better. So extraordinary simply means a little bit better than ordinary. It doesn't have to be massively better than ordinary, just a little bit better than ordinary. Now, this is the view from a hotel room that I was in recently, and yeah, it's kind of dark. You see, I woke up in the middle of the night, and I don't know if this happens to you when you travel, but the hotel rooms are always darker than they are at home, than my room is at home. Now, admittedly, I had to go to the bathroom. And the last time that this happened, I banged my leg into the side of the bed, and man, did it hurt. Then I remember plugging in my phone somewhere, and I really would prefer not to trip over that cord. So I gingerly put my feet on the ground, and a motion-activated light illuminates the path to the bathroom. Now that is an extraordinary experience. A wow moment at 2:30 in the morning. So I go to the bathroom, come back, and being the customer experience guy that I am, I have to get on hands and knees to see what's going on here, and of course to get this great picture for my presentation. Folks, this is a stick-on light that could not cost more than 50 cents at your local Home Depot or Lowe's. This is not high technology, this is not operationally complex, and this is not expensive, but it totally changes the experience. And the best part about it is that in order to get here, this hotel either had to do a great job of listening to customer complaints, or we like to say that we should always get in the shoes of our customers. I like to think that management here got into the slippers of customers by actually staying in their own hotel room and seeing how dark it is. That is a great lesson for all of you as well. Become a customer of your own company, and you'll see what your customers see. There's a restaurant in downtown Chicago called Osteria Via Stato. It's an Italian restaurant that has two sides, a pizza side and a pasta side. It's separated by these two swinging doors that are unbelievably busy. There's people going through them all the time. There's customers, there's waiters and waitresses, bus boys, people holding big trays of food and big things of water. And I'm thinking, this is set up to be a disaster. Like somebody is going to end up with spaghetti sauce all over their white shirt. But somehow there's lots of people going back and forth, and that's not happening. Why is that? Now, normally when you walk up to a door, you see one of two words. I am not talking about enter or exit. I'm not talking about in or out. I'm talking about push or pull. Two English words, 4 letters long, starting with the letters PU, and people confuse them. Maybe you've confused them. Maybe you've done this before when you were supposed to be doing this. So if we put push and pull on these two swinging doors with all these people going through, it's going to be a disaster. Osteria Via Stato did one better. They went to the two simplest words in the English language, and they are yes and no. And guess what? When you make things that simple, no one crashes into one another. No one chooses the wrong door. No one ends up with spaghetti on their shirt. All right, I want you to raise your hand if you like waiting on hold. Now, I can't see you, but I'm guessing there's not a whole lot of people raising their hands right now. After all, who likes listening to terrible elevator music or random beeping? Or my favorite one is when it goes completely silent and you don't even know if they're still there. But what if, when you were put on hold, instead you heard this?
Well, I've been sitting here all day, I've been sitting in this waiting room, and I've been waiting on my friends, yes, I'm waiting on this conference call, all alone, and I'm on hold, well, yes, I'm on hold, I hope it's not all day. Well, I wonder where they are, yes, I wonder where my friends have gone. Where'd they go?
Now, I encourage you to go onto YouTube and look up Alex Cornell's I'm on Hold and listen to the entire thing because it is incredible. When I first heard this, I literally did not want the other party to join the line because I wanted to hear the rest of the song. Remember when I told you that people are waiting in line at Universal Studios without wanting to go on the rides? This is a similar feeling. What if people wanted to wait on hold? That is when we know we've created an extraordinary experience, where we've taken something that is usually far from extraordinary, in fact, maybe even aggravating, and made it into something great. A company called Squaremouth really wanted its customers to read its insurance policies. And so they decided to insert a sweepstakes into the policy to try to encourage people to read it. Now, this woman here, Donalyn Andrews, did read her policy. She found the sweepstakes, she called the number, and she won $10,000. Pretty good for a day's work. Now, obviously, we shouldn't have to put a $10,000 sweepstakes into our policies in order to get people to read them. But what we can learn here is that by taking something ordinary like a policy and creating something extraordinary with it, we get people talking. In this particular case, we got USA Today talking about us, plus many, many other media outlets. A friend of mine, who shall remain nameless to protect the guilty, sent me this sign that is posted in contact centers at Amazon. What I love about this is Amazon has 6 customer service tenets that are shared with all employees. And they're things like relentlessly advocate for customers and treating our customers like we trust them. Wow. And relying on our associates to use good judgment. Amazing. When you trust your customers and you trust your employees, good things happen. There is a reason why Amazon is one of the best at customer service and customer experience. And it is because they subscribe to these tenets and really own them in everything that they do. And that's why buying from Amazon is always extraordinary. Speaking of extraordinary, another brand that everybody loves is Chewy.com. In fact, it's right there in their logo. I love Chewy.com. In fact, when I get off stages and in-person events, always someone runs up to me and says, I got to tell you my Chewy story. But today I'm going to tell you a Chewy story that I don't think you've heard before. And that is because the customer actually called me to tell me about it because she knew I was going to share it in my presentation, put it on my podcast, write about it in my book, etc., etc. This story involves a woman named Marianne Hell who bought some litter for her long-haired cat, Roma. Now, as it turns out, the litter didn't work very well. Now, Marianne Hell says that it's because it just wasn't formulated for long-haired cats. So she goes back to Chewy's website and leaves a negative review on the litter itself. This is not a Chewy product. They're just distributing it. And she wanted to do it because she wanted to warn other long-haired cat owners to look elsewhere. She thought that was the end of it. Next day, she gets an email from Chewy's customer service department. Dear Marianne Hell, we're sorry that the litter didn't work out for you. We've gone ahead and refunded your money. Now, Marianne Hell never asked for a refund. We also did some research for you and found 4 other litters that we think might be better for your long-haired cat, and here are links to them. Please give our love to Roma. That's right, Chewy knows the name of Marianne Hell's cat and is not afraid to use it. We have a furry wall of fame in our office and would love to put a picture up of her. It's signed Many Whiskers, Stephanie H. Now, I would posit that that is the greatest customer service email in the history of either email or customer service. But here's the best part about it. It's a template. Dear so-and-so, we're sorry you didn't like such and such. Here's a refund. Here's 4 other examples of such and such that might be better. Please give our love to so-and-so. We'd love to put them up on our wall. Many Whiskers, so-and-so. They have made the most personalized customer service email and made it at scale so that they can send it to thousands of people. This is a great example of how your company can become extraordinary because chances are your company doesn't have as many customers as Chewy. It is not that difficult to create something like this and create a remarkable experience. Do you think after getting this email that Marianne Hell is more or less likely to order from Chewy after having a bad experience? Of course, Mariankel is yet another person who loves Chewy.
One of my absolute favorite customer experiences as a customer happened for me at Children's Hospital. I was with my youngest son and my wife. My youngest son was having surgery, which is, fills me with a ton of anxiety and a ton of fear and makes me a ball of nerves. And I'm expected in the dynamic of my family to also be emotionally strong support for everybody else. So we get through the whole surgery. You sit there for hours just waiting, nervous. Then you take down a whole bunch of information, what the outpatient care is like, and you want to make sure that you don't forget any of it. My son is fussy, in pain, crying. And on the way out, I go into the restroom and wash my hands. I'm washing my hands and I look up and I see on the mirror, "Hang in there, Dad." And it just felt like at the perfect time, somebody put their hand on my shoulder and was support for me. Someone I didn't know, because I knew they thought about me and they thought about my experience and what I was going through in the first moment of the entire day where I could be vulnerable just within myself. And I just thought that is such a thoughtful exercise that somebody went through to figure out where was the perfect touch point to put a hand on my shoulder.
Every time I hear that, I get the chills. That's a real person. That's not an actor. Can you feel the emotion in his voice as he talks about having to take his kid to the hospital, as he talks about having to be the pillar of strength for his family, as he talks about that one moment of vulnerability? And then he sees a sign that says exactly what he needed to hear at exactly the right moment. Now, I haven't actually seen this sign, but I imagine that it wasn't a particularly expensive gold-gilded sign. This didn't cost a lot of money, but man, did it take an ordinary experience and turn it into extraordinary, just by trying to show empathy to one of their customers, which in this case was a patient's family member. One more example for you. Yes, you are looking at a urinal right now. This is from the USS Midway in San Diego, and that's a soccer goal at the bottom there. You see, there's a soccer ball. It's hanging by a string, so it moves when you... All right, I promised I would keep this a family show, so use your imagination. People, if someone can create a remarkable experience out of a urinal, you can do it in your business. You can make something that is ordinary into extraordinary. Now, to be extraordinary, you just have to find the opportunities within your business. One chance is to do simple better, like Joe Madden says. Find opportunities to remove key pain points. Change, look at the ways that we've always done something. I hate it when somebody says, "Oh, it's because we've always done it that way." That's a great sign that you should change it. Or because you do something that your competitors do. If you want inspiration, don't look to your competitors. Look to the companies that I've been sharing with you, and then use what they do in a similar fashion in your business. Offering proactive customer service can be a great way to create an extraordinary experience. This is where you get out in front of a problem and reach out to somebody maybe before they're having a problem or before they have a chance to reach out to you. Find any ordinary experience, anything, and see what you can do to give it a little extra and make it extraordinary. I want to thank you so much for being here today, and I can't wait for our final installment. We'll see you next time.